As we celebrate today the feast day of the archangels, Saints Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, it's a reminder to us of how God continues to move in our lives, not just directly pouring out His Spirit and through Jesus, His Son, but He also has angels, creatures of God, which are there to minister to us, who were created at the beginning and had to make this choice of whether to worship God or to go on their own. Satan, of course, we know, did not want to worship God, and so he went off for the ruin of souls. But we know Saints Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, as well as the other good angels, are always with God, and they are seeking to bring souls to the heart of the Father. Saint Raphael, we hear about in the book of Tobit in the Old Testament. Interesting book. I invite you to read it if you haven't before. Beautiful story about how God sent His angel to walk with Tobiah to go and retrieve some money that was needed, but also more to bring healing to Sarah, who had a demon afflicting her, to bring healing to Tobit, who was blind because bird poop fell in his eyes. Let's be honest, Tobit is the comic relief of the Old Testament. And to bless this marriage between Tobiah and Sarah. And so Raphael means God heals, or the healing of God. And we see this so beautifully in the book of Tobit as God heals through Saint Raphael. Gabriel means the power of God. And we see this in how he moves first in the book of Daniel, speaking about how the Holy of Holies is going to be rebuilt. And then in the New Testament, as he appears to Zechariah, as he appears to Mary, "Blessed are you among women. Hail, full of grace." How he speaks these words to Mary of the Annunciation. How God's power is shown forth in weakness. And he proclaims the good news. And then we see, also in the book of Daniel, we see about St. Michael, and then in the book of Revelation as well, how God throws down Satan through the use of St. Michael. Why? Michael means, who is like God? And Satan, who grasped that equality with God, who wanted to be God, is thrown down by Michael, who says, who is like God? No one is like God. And when you grasp at God, you are thrown down. Back in the 1800s, late 1800s, Pope Leo XIII was celebrating Mass privately, and then he stopped. And when asked what had happened later, he said he heard two voices coming from the tabernacle. One was definitely the voice of Satan, the other was the voice of Jesus. And Satan said, I will destroy your church. And Jesus said, you can't destroy my church. And Satan said, give me the time and give me the power and the authority, and I will destroy your church. And Jesus says, how much time do you need? He says, a century. And he says, okay, I will give you that century. However, during that time, I will also be pouring out my Spirit in new and more abundant ways. Immediately after this Mass, Pope Leo pretty much ran from the chapel to his private office and wrote out the St. Michael prayer, and then asked all the churches in the world at the end of the low Masses to pray the St. Michael prayer, which was done up until the Second Vatican Council with the change of the liturgy. And now, of course, we have reestablished this St. Michael prayer because we know that St. Michael is the one who is going to protect us from the wickedness and snares of the enemy. St. Michael does have this authority to protect us from all evil. So while, of course, we pray this at the end of the Rosary, while we pray this at the end of Mass, I invite you to invoke St. Michael even more throughout the day, throughout our lives, asking him to come protect us, our families, our church, our country. St. Michael is so powerful against Satan. And so we turn to the holy angels today, the holy archangels, asking for their help, asking for their protection, asking for their guidance, asking for their healing, because they are the ones that bring down the power of God into our daily lives, into the things that we do. And we ask that the Lord pour out a greater understanding within us of how they move in our lives, how these angels continue to move in our lives, drawing us into holiness, drawing us into the very heart of God.